Okay, I think we'll start since it's already 3:32. Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on today's Tamales meeting. I'm Anna Gonzalez with TTAP, and I'll be helping lead today's meeting. I don't know if we have any new people, but if anyone's new to us, then TTAP works to make assistive tech more accessible across Texas for device loans and maker projects like the group. And then I'm joined by Shannon and Nico. And let's see. So with our mission, our goal is to create a Texas Makers Network that supports and includes people with disabilities by collaborating to design unique tools and solutions that promote independence. So that's a little of our mission. And then for ATs everywhere, so something we like to remind everyone is that assistive technology is really everywhere. Like it's not just high-tech devices, it's tools and adaptations that make everyday life easier. So from communication to mobility aids to adaptive gaming, sensory supports and organization tools. So AT touches kind of like every part of life. And then for today's agenda, so a quick look at what we'll be covering today would be new connections. There's going to be CAD conversations, so conversation about CAD, new resources, tech intel, Tech Fest Live updates, and some exciting work happening with Dallas ISD.
And Dallas may not be with us today because they may have the day off, so we'll have to share what they have and they'll watch the recording later. Hey, Miha. All right.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. And you can talk about the survey, but it's going to come out in the mail.
I don't know if you want to go over that, Shannon.
Okay. We're going to send a Microsoft Forms survey to make sure that this time meets everyone's needs. Starting January, we're going to start a new invite just so that we have like 80 people, but not everyone is showing up that's receiving our Zoom invites. And so we're going to do a new Zoom just to make sure that we're meeting at a good time for everyone. And so it may stay the same, or we may take feedback and slightly adjust the time for our meeting starting January 1st. But next month in December, it will be the same time. Conference update. We have a conference for next year. The call for papers has not gone out yet, but the conference will be October 28th and 29th. It's a Wednesday and a Thursday, the last week of October next year. We're really excited. Last year, we had the makerspace with the little writing robot, and we had the makerspace. The day one was switch interface. Patrick from CNS Lab will be working with us again. So we're going to be making an actual switch as one of our days. And then we're still trying to determine what we're going to make our other day. But we will have the makerspace next year also.
And then on to new members. So before we dive into the rest of the agenda, we'd love to know about our new members a little more or at all. So if you're
I
new,
think May has been here before.
yeah, I know May has been here. Has Julie been here before?
Julie?
So if you're new, yeah, feel
Sorry.
free to unmute.
Yeah, well, no, I'm on driving and I just got to my office and tried to hit the unmute button, but it wasn't working. So anyway, yeah, I'm with the Hill County SSA, and I think Sharon Cooksey, my co-director or whatever for the assistive technology, has been on here before. So this is the first one that I've actually been able to make it with my schedule. So, but yeah, so we do the Hill County. We have 11 school districts that we represent.
Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
And then do you have a maker goal, Julie?
I have a bunch of equipment that we inherited from the lady who was doing this before us that we do not know how to use. And so we are trying to figure it out. We've got 3D printer and a poster maker and a lathe to cut things out with, and but a lot of equipment we don't know how to use. So we're hoping to kind of learn how to make those things.
And Julie, that's one of my, as you start learning how to do it, also then include procedure so that if something happens to you two, that the next person won't have to start fresh like you are having to. So you also, as you're doing this, I'm hoping that you'll start establishing some procedures on the equipment also. So I'm glad you're here. This is exactly why we have this group.
Yeah,
So thank
and
you.
that's what we're hoping to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And I think everyone's returning, so I'll pass it over to Nico.
All right, hopefully my connection stays good right now. So really what we wanted to talk about is computer-aided design today. I know folks on the call have varying experience about it. We really wanted to just kind of introduce it to the folks that don't have any idea about it, and then also talk about it, kind of have an open discussion, honest discussion, because I know it's, for me at least, the most intimidating part of fabrication, so far as just designing, and then also just that whole process of bringing it from conceptualization to designing and to printing. It is a monumental leap between just grabbing the file off the internet from somebody that made it and then printing it versus actually designing the file. So for anyone that doesn't know, CAD, it stands for computer aided design. Do you or don't you? What it's supposed to do, what it does is therefore is to enable 3D printing and also fabrication, prototyping, support hands-on makerspace and STEM learning within schools, and then save time, reduce costs, really up that customization piece. And then empowers custom solutions for individuals with disabilities. So it does go beyond just disabilities. I recently saw somebody design a really cool lightsaber. And that also is done with computer-aided design. So the world is your oyster when it comes to working in that space. And then we have a link here, Shannon.
And I'm going to put this in the chat. And then while we're watching this, if everybody wants to type in what CAD program they use, and we're going to come down to this quick video.
Designing for the real world should not be trapped on a flat screen. That's why we created Tinker XR, an in-situ computer-aided design interface that lets novices design and 3D print objects directly within their environment. Tinker XR enables users to design with constructive solid geometry modeling using their hands. Additionally, users can start printing their models using an AR-based 3D printing workflow available within the system. Here's the general workflow. After scanning their room, users select the workspace they would like to work on. An interactive grid overlay assists users in achieving greater precision during the design process. After the workspace is selected, users can interact with the system via the button menus placed on the wrists, where they can create primitive geometries. With the integrated design features, users can manipulate these primitive geometries to reach the desired results. Once satisfied with their model, users can proceed to the fabrication sequence. The system connects to 3D printers.
And I'm not going to watch the whole PowerPoint, but I just want people to see where the technology is going. And it was real interesting. I sent that to Ken, and he then sent me the new Apple link with the new Apple virtual reality. And so we had some conversations about how great that's going to be as it moves forward. So then I went to the mall, and you can go and set up an appointment to wear the Apple virtual reality glasses. I can't remember what the technical name is. So I watched a whole bunch of people like meshing around with it. And now I'm going to set up an appointment and go and work with them so I can wear the glasses and figure out how they work. So technology is just amazing.
Yeah, I want to say that it's pretty much breaking the sandbox. You're really opening up all possibilities so far as visual interfacing with your environment and what you can do. Next slide.
Oh, before you go on, Nico,
Yeah, go. Yeah.
I just want to say you had set the stage here as you can download something and print it, or you can jump into CAD. And there
Mm-hmm.
is an intermediate area, which is defining what you want with a customizer tool. So the CAD work has kind of been done behind the scenes, and it just exposes some options for you to choose from. So you can get into creating your own stuff. I mean, something custom for you or for someone you work with without having to know CAD. So there is that intermediate thing, and I put the two tools I'm familiar with in the chat. Both of them now are supported on MakerWorld to expose various parameters that you can just set for yourself, and it will create the object for you.
Really like that. I mean, so far as like where do I start? It's like that's how my journey is. It's been at the front end where I've just collected files, STL files, and then printed them. But if I can have that trajectory backwards, I can work my way back to the sources of where like engineers create things, which I'm not an engineer. So it's like that backwards and forwards capability, I think within this space has it empowered me for somebody that doesn't have like that engineering background. Thank you for sharing. So this, like I was just mentioning a minute ago, I found this lightsaber video. It's pretty incredible, especially for our nerds on the call right now.
Skip.
Get
Sorry.
ready.
Sorry
Not
about
skip
that.
YouTube and/or ads. Oh, and then Shannon, this put you at a timestamp.
Oh, so start it back at the beginning.
Yeah, start at the beginning.
And we're not
So
going to watch
this,
this whole one also, but he's just going to talk about it real quick.
Lightning McQueen is
Oh,
ready to race and
and then we
rescue.
get a
Time to
Lightning
take on rival
McQueen ad
Chick X.
because
Oh no, now Chick and his team are
Christmas is
sabotaging
coming
the
and
course.
they want
Lightning McQueen speeds
grandparents
into
to buy
action, putting
all
out
these
fires
fun
and
toys.
clearing the rocks.
So I'm sure
Lightning
this is
McQueen
geared
saves the
towards
day
my
with the Rescue
grandchildren.
Road Raceway. Adult assembled leather cars sold separately.
Score up to
Oh, wait,
70%
that's
off
my
new
skip.
trees and returning faves at Michael's. Plus, decorating
Oh, I
supplies
must
are
have
up to
done something
50% off.
No,
So you can fill your
Shannon, you just
space
need to
with
mute it.
holiday joy. Shop the best
All
selection.
right, there we go.
Mention the brightest, most realistic blade in
Sorry.
the world and full retraction, and does all this in a replica Graflex hilt. That's right, replica. Same base hilt that they used in the original Star Wars movies. Even better, like many of you asked for, you can now lightly duel with it. To be honest, a retractable lightsaber with all these features and a replica hilt is something that I thought was impossible. So, how did we do it? How does it work? If you've been following along on our lightsaber quest, you'll know this is not our first attempt. I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid, so I've always wanted to make a real-life lightsaber. For the past few years, that's exactly what I've been trying to do. What started as a literal rectangular box turned into a working prototype with V1 and extended even better with V2. But with V2, we still had things to improve.
All right, and Nico, I'm going to let you talk about it now, but just so they
Totally.
kind of know.
Yeah, because the video sharing on Zoom isn't super great. If you look at it, the fluidity of the device from beginning to end, the end product is quite stunning. So far as like replicating the actual physics of a lightsaber within the Star Wars universe. And so when this was debuted, I was just blown away just by how seamless it seemed like the whole operation is. But under the hood, it took hundreds of hours and a small army of people to put this together. So it's just a good visualization of a project from beginning to end and kind of illustrating like the iterative process behind development, and then also that collaborative nature, because there's communities out there that they reach to so far as developing different switches for the device, developing just different suggestions that they could take in and add to their device. So the hilt itself was purchased, but then the internal mechanics was developed by the team. And I just like that it's kind of like an amalgam of things like manufacturing and designing, which I think is another avenue where you can kind of augment your technologies, your designing, your fabrication to the tools that you use every day. So I know we mentioned some of the CAD that we use in the chat, which is great because we were about to point to Onshape, which is a cloud-based CAD design. And they have an incredible amount of resources. So this all came about because the sponsor of that lightsaber was Onshape. And I was doing a little bit more digging, and I found that they have a great library of education and resources to kind of get you started for our folks that are CAD beginners. So I definitely want to take a look at it more in depth so far as what it has to offer. But for our folks that have no idea what CAD is and are looking for a place to start, this is a great one just because it does have that cloud-based feature and it does have a mobile app. So you're able to kind of collaborate in real time if needed, which I think for our visual learners and for our learners that need that kind of continuity carryover, it's kind of nice to have it as a tool. I know if I put something down and pick it back up, it'll always be a different, how I approach it will always be different. So yeah, she's adding it to the Padlet. And then yeah, like I was saying, the CAD basics, just to learn everything, it's a really cool like coursework that they have developed, curricula. So.
And we will put the Fusion and the OpenSCAD, the Fusion 360 and the OpenSCAD in there also. I only use the OpenSCAD because Ken showed me how. So.
And a lot of these programs have pluses and minuses, and we're not here to tell you which one is better or the other, but what actually serves your needs. So really take a look, do your research and see how it could fit you as like maybe a school teacher or someone as like Ken as a retired engineer with time on his hands that wants to get back. So it's for everyone and all peoples. So.
And I just was invited. I live in Willis, Texas, and Conroe, Texas is the next town down from me. And they're building a brand new makerspace. So I'm going to a meeting. I'll keep y'all posted on Saturday. It's going to be a full makerspace. So hopefully, if they build that, we'll be able to have some more wood shop kind of activities for making for AT also.
Yeah, and so this is more resources. So when Ken talked about that intermediary step, it kind of reminded me of MIT's like how to code. And it's kind of like block coding, kind of teaching that kind of like basic like syntax structure, but also like not going fully deeply into the code itself, which I think is really cool. So I think, yeah, like Ken was saying, there are intermediary resources out there. And here's a few others to get you started. I probably won't touch the robotics one, but just being able to design things, I think, is very great. Yeah. Anything to add, Shannon?
Yeah, so MIT has open courseware, and so they take their old courses and they're free to the public.
Yes.
So this is a really good resource. And on here, so if you do a search like assistive technology, they actually have an old assistive technology course, but then they also have a how to CAD course that you can take, and you just download it. And that one's relatively new. It's 2024, and it's actually taught by your MIT professors, and you go through their own course syllabus. And then the other one that I added, just because I think that there's so much potential in robotics for assistive technology, especially those with mobility issues like the Obi robot. And so here is a course that's the intro to robotics. And so you download the course and anyone can take that. So if you do want to learn more, but you don't want to, this is an MIT course that they're kind of known for their engineering. So either it's going to be way over my head and I'll quit really quickly, and I'll have to go back to Tinkercad, or I might actually learn something. So I'll put this this link here, and it's but it is something that people should know?
Yeah, I think if we keep breaking down those barriers between what we're trying to do here, like if we keep
Building capacity.
everyone, yeah, we're building capacity with everyone, where everyone's coming from different walks of life, and how they approach different things is unique to them, and CAD can help you get to from point A to point B.
And I did put all of these links into the Padlet. And so, so if you go here, I've got under, I'm gonna have to like reorganize a little bit, but I think I put that under either research or files and plans and ideas. So we've got some new things in here. So do take time because I continually am adding almost to the point that it's probably getting a little overwhelming. But I don't want to take it out because I want to make sure that, oh, yep, I did. I put it under research. So you've got your MIT courses there and then a new article on student benefits. So you've got a few new articles on here that I've added, and we'll talk about those in a minute. So I just thought that was really cool. All right, moving forward. So these are some of the new articles I had. One was really the impact of adults with developmental disabilities and accessible makerspaces. And what they're finding is not only are we having these makerspaces, we include individuals with disabilities, but it's actually becoming a job placement for some of the individuals because some of the equipment your individuals with disabilities can actually utilize. So one of these articles, and these are under the research, is just promoting capabilities of adults. And I saw this firsthand. A speech pathologist reached out to me from Fort Worth ISD. And she's working in a transition program with adults that are 18 to 21. And what she said is she started the program, and at first it was a little rough, and she's got a few bumps in the road. And I believe she's going to present at our conference on her process next year. But she said they left after summer break, and it's almost like it's magically evolved into a really collaborative group of kids because they're excited about what they're making and they're starting to now search for things. And she said they used to just exist and now they're really interacting, they're planning. And these are all individuals with disabilities that are trying to find placements when they're 21. And she's seen just this huge increase in excitement with the 3D printing. So it is something that we can be utilizing. And especially as we start seeing these maker spaces pop up, you know, there's some maintenance of the machines and some employability options for some of these students that I think is going to be incredible. So that was the first article. The next one is just more benefits in school. We're always looking for, I just believe that we should start early and get kids exposed to assistive technology so that it's just what they do when they go into these engineering fields. So this article here, and once again, these are all in there, is exploring additive manufacturing and assistive technologies to transform the educational experience, and it's empowering inclusion. And it just talks about the benefits of adding these programs into schools. So that's the second article. And then this one is similar to the third one. It's just including individuals with disabilities. So you're starting to just get more research in regards to the ultimate thing about the assistive technology in these programs is you're working with the people with disabilities. And so you almost have that triadic relationship where you've got your therapists, your makers, your engineers, and the individuals with disabilities all working together. And that's best practice. And that's what we want to promote through this group.
Hey, Shannon.
Yes.
So having worked a little bit with trying to get adults placed in the workplace somewhere and seeing just how hard that is, given especially the state of employment these days. I wonder whether the people who are considering these maker spaces and adults with disabilities in these maker spaces, whether they're considering how you actually do the next step, which is get them into a employment sort of setting, because that seems to be, well, wow, they're excited and I think there's an opportunity here, but the opportunities are very small. I wonder whether anybody considers how you can monetize making things by putting some of this equipment and some of these kids who are adults who are in these maker spaces in a setting where they're doing making and selling their work. It may not be a lot of money, but it never is a lot of money.
And I think that's a good point, Ken. And I met with TXRX and we sat and we had about it. I wish I could have invited you. This was down in Houston. TXRX is one of the largest makerspace. It's the largest one in the Houston area and one of the largest ones in Texas, I found out. And I've been doing some more research on it. And those were, when I met with the director, those were all questions that we had, like, and so it's conversations we're having on the table, which I'm thrilled about, but I don't have answers for you at this point, but I think it opens the door for those conversations to move forward.
That's great, Shannon. I just want to believe that people are having conversations about where do we go from here? What are we trying to achieve?
Right. Where are the jobs going to be? So one of the things is if we get more maker spaces in libraries, then the libraries can hire more individuals with disabilities to run those maker spaces. As you start seeing more pop-up maker spaces, like where I live in Willis, there's one in Montgomery, which is a town, I would say, in relation to Denver, it would be like going to Golden. But so Montgomery has one, and they're now moving one to the town right below me, Conroe. So they've got a really strong, they've got such a waiting list, but they don't have anyone, they have volunteers working there right now. So I don't know, people pay a membership, and so it's kind of run by the volunteers and the membership fees. So so I don't know how you would incorporate someone with a disability into a system like that.
Well, if you do have conversations like that going forward, I'd love to participate.
Okay, and we will be having more of them because we'll be doing some work with this TXRX, which is and TechFest Live, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides. But all of that's really important, and I think that's why we're here. This was just something that I think if people are creating maker spaces, on this next slide, there's a list here and it's called 100 plus makerspace materials. And some that I thought were fun, I kind of added, but they're all listed here. And so this link, and I'm going to put this in the chat, and this isn't new, but I've run across it before, but it's more robust now. So I'm going to stick this one in. And I like this because it gives you ideas. So some of them are simple, but as you scroll down, some of them are more games geared towards kids. But then there are actual things like information on your Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and those are all used for some of the switch activities. And then as you move down, cardboard cutters, you've got some robotics that kids can experiment with. And then they've got things like your electric paint that could help for conductiveness, pins that draw. And then I thought this was cool. There's a little very inexpensive lily pad switch. So I put that on here because it's very inexpensive and it's a little on-off switch and you can sew it into fabric. And they give you some ideas for it. They've got some motors. So it was just a neat little list of things. And I actually put this Ply 90 on here because I thought that had a lot of potential for creating, like what they've done is they've created some tables and chairs. But I was thinking you could really, like even setting up like a table for someone in their wheelchair, you could really size something relatively easy without excessive tools. So I thought that was kind of a neat little tool when I think it has a lot of potential. Let's see. Some other ones I put on here. This is something that can be put into clothing with batteries. And then there was conductive fabric, which I thought has some potential for use with assistive technology. And then what was this other one? Oh, and this little form box I thought was really cool because you can make molds to pour like a resin or something. And it was relatively easy. So it's something that, and I'll put that in there. I thought that would be a fun thing and has some potential. All right, there you go. So those are just a nice resource list. So it's 100 makerspace materials, and then it's kind of got links to a lot of them. And I thought that's something, especially if you're working to build a makerspace, all of that equipment is something that you could add to your own makerspace. Has anybody used any of those on that list? I put the link in the chat. Conductive fabric, conductive, when we're making a lot more wearables, I thought really had some potential for some maker activities. We've used Instamorph for years. That's something that every makerspace should always have. And you just melt it and you can, it's especially for prototyping, I think it's something that labs can't do without. Oh, look, we can win free Instamorph.
I had a disaster with one of those for another day. Not
You left it in a
Instamorph.
hot car in Texas?
No, it has to do with trying to be creative and actually becoming quite problematic. But we can share that topic for our disaster day stories.
I did find out that my boxer could open the container, and I did come home one time to have a whole container of these little micro beads Instamorph all over my living room, but that was a fun cleanup day. It's like 52 pickup. All right, moving forward. So that was just a bunch of materials. And Dallas is not here, so I'm really sad because she sent me pictures. So at this point, they're just making fidgets for their students, but they have started, and one of their representatives, Tamira and Tamika, they're working with their AR. They're going to be doing a presentation, and they are the CTE representatives. They're going to be doing a presentation next summer. So they've been working with their AT representative. And so they've started out small with just some fidgets. And I'm not sure what the scissors are, but these are all things that they've created. And so we'll try to have them speak up on this next month because I forgot that they were off on Veterans Day. But these are some of the things they sent me that they've already started creating. And you do need to start out small, and then we'll see where they end up because we want to see more accessible and not just fidgets as they move forward, like some of the key guards that Ken has the designer for at Volkswitch. So we'll see where they go. And then last week we didn't have a good video of the harp, and so I found one on my phone, and this is just a 15-second video to show that the harp really has some good musical quality. Hopefully you can hear it. So let me play this.
I like that. I like it.
And Dr. Lee has stepped on, and I wasn't able to come, but he was going to be taking one of the musical harps to the students to play. And I don't know if he's worked that out yet. So Dr. Lee, have you been able to get over to the students to try out the harp? I'm putting him on the spot. He didn't know it.
His camera's off. Yeah. He might be having technical difficulties. Oh, there he is. Oh, you're muted, Dr. Lee. He's muted.
He looks like he's in his car, possibly. All right. We don't want him to get in a car accident. So we're going to let you talk about it next week. Dr. Lee, we're not putting you on the spot. We want you to be safe. So we're going to go ahead and
oh, yeah, he's in the middle of traffic.
All right. All right, we're going to move forward. All right, so now we have Tech Intel to see what people have been doing outside of Tamales. So anything that anybody would like to share?
If no one is eager to share, I will volunteer one thing.
Yay.
Yeah, and that is a couple of weeks ago, I posted a brag in the QIAT mailing list that said 3D printed key guards, the holy grail of DIY assistive technology.
I saw it.
And I got a number of responses. I haven't gotten too many that are, you're full of it, kind of. So I think there's a lot of support out there. And I am interviewing people right now who responded to try and get some support for documenting that concept. And whether it's a journal article or whether it's just a post on Facebook or something in some other form, there's a lot of support. My excitement is all mine, but the support is broader than I would have expected for gathering the information to do that kind of documentation.
I do know, Ken, that that's one of the things I get the most requests for here at TTAP. So not that that adds to your research, but it is the item that we get the most requests for. So we need to work with our speech department here at UT and try to see if we can't get somebody to take it on there also.
Okay, so I may ask to interview you then, Shannon, because that is probably step one in the process. Is you can't be the holy grail in terms of our return on investment if nobody's asking for that thing. But if there's a lot of requests for it and it's really cheap compared to the commercial alternative, then it is that holy grail that I've been trying to sell it as.
And one of the things that we do then is we try to set up meetings and guide them to your website because it is time consuming. So I know Austin Independent School District, we need to have you interview because they're making all of their own from your, they came and worked with us. We met with them for 2 hours. I showed them how to do one on your, which is why I had to learn because I had to train them. And then they've taken it and they now have their own 3D printer and they are now making them for all of their own students.
Well, I'll follow up with you. I'll follow up with Shannon.
Yeah, so that and I'll give you their contact information because they're making a bunch. They're making the most anywhere in Texas would be Austin Independent School District, and it's a game changer for them. So they've got good feedback for that.
Great.
Any other tech intel? All right. I'll have to.
Shannon, I just want to say we had a comment that Junior Achievement is a program for schools that guide students to create a product, market, and sell the product, and they target ages 5 to 25.
So we need to start working with some Junior Achievement then.
Well, and I was kind of putting that in response to Ken's what he was talking about earlier, but it's a program, it's volunteers run it. And then they connect with local school district. I had experience with it when I was in Houston as a kid. My brother was part of it, but they basically go through that problem solving, creating and all. And so I'm not sure, like, as far as I understand the program and its curriculum and things like that could be applied to something like maker spaces or whatever to help somebody learn job skills. I think that's the intent is for kids to think through that process of how to make that. But I was looking it up and it says ages 5 to 25. So that might be a place.
I used to hear a lot about Junior Achievement and you don't hear about it as much, but I'm going to have to reach out and we're going to have to do some investigation on that. That's a very good link or lead. So let's see. I want to go back because I have something else that has kind of happened since we planned this meeting. So Brian, I was helping Brian and he's on the meeting at his event, and we were showing assistive technology. And through that, I was able to meet a couple people here in Houston. One was the big TXRX lab, which was exciting, and that's what I was talking about earlier. And they're trying to decide how they can incorporate more of this assistive tech into their makerspace. And so we're just starting that conversation at the table. They're going to be reaching out to Texas Workforce. I know that. But they introduced me to one other person, and his name is Khalil, and he ran something called Tech Fest Live. And Tech Fest Live had about 2,000 students, and they do like challenges. And so these are middle school and high school kids, and it's held in Houston. And when he found out that 80% of individuals don't have the assistive technology, and yes, that's a true factual number, 80% of individuals who need assistive technology don't have all of the assistive technology tools that they need. And this ranges from infants all the way to the aging population. So there's a huge need for assistive technology. So he wants to, in his Tech Fest Live now, start incorporating some of the challenges into the competitions that the students are participating in as a part of this Tech Fest Live. So I don't know the details, but he has asked us at TTAP, and we're meeting with our CNS lab. Patrick Binfield runs the makerspace in the computer and natural science department at the University of Texas. And then Khalil meets with a lot of investors who are putting money into this Tech Fest. And so he wants me and then Patrick and all of us to work together to make a presentation towards investors who invest in some of these school programs. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but we will. Ken, I would like you to attend that, and that's going to be it's going to be an invitation. They're only going to have so many seats, but Ken, I'd like you to be there. And we'll have a few others. Kylan, maybe because you're at the university. Well, just email me if you're interested. But it's going to be, Anna, do you remember it was the 21st? Wednesday, the 21st that
I
we're going to
think
be
that was
presenting?
that was a date that they were
Yeah,
confirmed.
we're shooting for 11 to 12:30 on January 21st. Sorry, January 21st. Wednesday, the 21st of January. So we'll see what happens with that. And Ken, I might ask you to look at the presentation ahead of time because you might have some ideas. And I want to make sure that if we're presenting to, these are executive company donors, that we're making sure we're hitting all the important parts, because this might be a one chance to really get this out there. So that's my exciting news, is just getting the word out. And then the other thing I have is they wanted some Houston school districts to participate. So I've been talking with some of the other, I've got Dr. Lee from HISD, but Dr. Lee is retiring. But we also have Alvin, Conroe, and then a small district, Willis, in this area that might be able to participate in some funded makerspace projects also. And I don't know what's going to come of that. So, but he said he would do some pilots. This Tech Fest Live group, they want to do some pilots in some small districts, and then they want to take it statewide. So I don't know where that's going to go. But the way I look at that, we've got a seat at the table. And that is what I think is really good. So any comments or questions to that? Thanks, Nico. Nico put the TechFest Live link in there. Kylan, do you have any exciting things going on up at Texas Women's?
You know, I've honestly been really drowning in teaching. So that's been my focus, but I am revamping our program's assistive technology
Strand?
Curriculum. Yeah, it's not we don't have our own course, but it's kind of integrated into other courses. And so I'm teaching my first AT course at the OTD level next week, which I'm really excited about. So that's been fun, but also a lot of work. I emailed Shannon, gosh, I don't remember, earlier this week, last week,
Last week, yeah.
looking for some advice about computer access, which pieces were the most important to prioritize since we won't have time to cover everything. And I didn't even think about requesting from the library since I wasn't working with someone with a disability, but that's a great idea. I am gonna
Yeah.
try to get that in time.
Yeah.
So thanks
Yeah.
for that.
And we do recommend people use them. And then there's some demonstration centers up there, and we might even do a special circumstance where they could even come and bring some equipment out.
Oh, wow. That
Because
might
then
be great.
So let me look at what demonstration centers are in your area, and they might even collaborate with you in that respect.
Oh, yeah, that would be great to know about. Thank you.
But definitely, we don't have a problem with you. That's exactly what the lending library is for, is to help build that capacity. So if nobody's using it, we would love for you to take it and share it with the students.
Wonderful. I've got my GA looking into options right now, and I'll put in a request. I've got a couple weeks still before I've got that content.
Yeah. And you don't want to wait too long because we've got some shipping, and then we'll be gone that week between Christmas and New Year's. We're off that week, so we don't send anything out at that time.
Okay, good to know. Thanks so much.
You're very welcome. All right. Any other feedback or comments?
Well, maybe I can talk a little bit here. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you, Dr. Lee.
Okay, got some information about the tech. The Leo and I, we kind of worked to work on the harp, but the harp will be modified. So what we did was Leo modified instead of a harp, we come up with something smaller than that. It's like a handheld thing instead of a big harp that you've seen. Now it's just a handheld, and that one does not have anything like a harp, but it can make all kind of sound because the technology is such that you can wave your hand over the top, and it makes there's a pitch on it, and if you vary the distance from the instrument that you held, different pitches will be up to maybe about 6 feet, but we haven't got down to 6 feet. But anyway, the whole point was we are able to reduce it, modify it, make it cheaper, make it easier, and so we didn't have a chance.
Is that the one I saw in your office?
The small one, the little handheld, that's the one. We were able to produce maybe about 8 or 9 of them. So I have given T.H. Rogers 4 of those so that they can start to maybe put together, and then we're going to have some coding on programming and so on to make sure that each of them have a different distinctive sound, and then the music teacher can teach the kids how to use it, and together they can put together some kind of a composition and play a song or something like that. And also Booker T will have 4 of those. So we have 2 sets for 2 school. However, it's nowhere near that you can hear a song of some sort. Okay, but they all make sounds, and the music is good. The only problem that we have now is try to get everything set up so that the kids can get at it. The kids have not had a chance to play with it yet. It's the adult that's doing this for now. So that's as far as I got. The only thing that we need to do this now is to figure out how a simple song can be played on 4 different handheld instrument. It's almost like how do you say it? It's a handheld instrument. It's like if you're drumming or you're playing a one string instrument like a violin, but it makes different sound. So each of them have a string of some sort. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a cool. To me, it's a cool little instrument. So
And you're
here's where
3D printing the cases, right? So the
yeah
case is
we did
3D printed now.
we
Yeah.
finished that. So we
So
have
it's a
about
small
10.
case and
Yes.
it's going to be accessible for the kids who have very limited motor movement. And all they'll have to do is break the light and then they'll have each one programmed for a different sound. And then they'll make a little, through all the different instruments, they'll have a little symphony, a little song.
Well, yeah, something like that. And each of them will need a computer though, because that's has to be connected through a computer to generate the sound. So it has a baggage that you can get the simplest computer like a Chromebook, it'll work. So those are I met with TH Roger yesterday, and they have a few more. Oh yeah, they have a few more ideas because I talk about coding and I said, well, there's a possibility of some of the coding that need to be done, and the principal was very excited about coding for the kids because she said her kids can do some coding. So when can we open it up for the kids to do some coding? I said, okay, that's a little bit more than the scope of the project. However, we'll see. And so
Well, it opens the door. So we need to get my friend Marina from HISD, the one that you met at the conference. We need to get her involved so that she can keep this going for you.
well, maybe I haven't heard a single
I know.
anything from HID. So I'm not very optimistic about HID going to get involved in here. Okay, we're
But we'll
moving.
keep chipping away. We'll keep chipping away. Look how far you've come so far.
Well, that's maybe it. But like I said, I can only count on those who has contact with me because if they haven't contact with me, I have no idea what they want to do, and I have no idea what they can help. So yeah, if you can kind of get them to, that'd be great. And
Okay.
I saw also when I sent the email to Miss Azios, I copy you because I was coming over to give her the instrument. I would like for your input in this because
Okay.
it's going to be a little bit more than what I had intended, and the direction that we're going, I'm not sure yet because I'm not very musically inclined, so I need some guidance here for where we're going with this. Okay, but at least the instrument is there, is done, and I can put it together. I can kind of make it work. The coding is done by Leo, and if I have a way to do this simply, then I think we can do a few things with it. But again, I'm not. I hate to say things and predict and project and all that. I just want to, it's like one bird in hand is better than two in the bush kind of thing. I want to have something that I can handle before I say, okay, yeah, we can go this way. So this is where I need your help if you can. Okay.
All right. Let me look at. I didn't see your email yet, so I'll go and look at that and then
No,
see
it's
what's
okay. It
going
happened.
on.
It happened
Okay.
yesterday. So you're not going to be. We're not going to be able to do anything now. Now I try to make another meeting this weekend. This week, like maybe Thursday or Friday. If it happens, can you make it? If it's
Not this
possible.
Thursday or Friday. I'll be in Austin. This is my week, but the Monday or Tuesday after that, I'll send you my schedule and we'll work something out.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will do. All right.
All right.
And that's
All
that,
right.
that's all I got so far. Okay.
Perfect. And then that takes us right pretty much to the end of the meeting. And I see, we all look at this together and I thought I'd changed everything, but the next meeting is actually December 9th. So we will have the next meeting December 9th. And then from the 5th through the 7th of next month, Nico and Anna will be up at Dallas Abilities, and then I will be down in Corpus Christi, Texas, at Texas Workforce. So we'll all be doing our AT Hoorah show at different parts of the state. So we'll all be busy in December. But the end of December, everything slows down and all those creative juices are going to fall. So make sure that, and I'm going to put the link to the Padlet one more time in there because I've added a lot of resources, and this is a work in progress. And this is open to anybody. Everything on here is open source. And it's just a way, so you're welcome to copy it, make it, share it, do whatever. But it's really, we're trying to organize it. I just found this article on this program in Birmingham. So I thought I added a column on other state programs because we should learn from each other. So that's what we have on there. So it's just a plethora of information. I think with that, I've got the links and back to my favorite Mustang.
Okay.
And with that, it's time, and I'll stay on for a couple seconds, but thank you everyone for coming. I think it's great conversations.